Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. My guests now on The Big Picture are retired Judge Sal Martoche and former Buffalo Mayor Tony Masiello. Let's talk about the way that the coronavirus situation has affected not just Buffalo, but the entire country, but specifically here in Western New York. You know, we've been shut down. You know, businesses are experiencing a trouble and they're, economically affected. You know, people are kind of told what they can do, where they can go, whether they can go to church or not. You know, that's been a problem. The businesses that they can deal with, they can go to a supermarket. They can't necessarily go to a restaurant. Tony, you were mayor for 4 terms. I mean, talk to me a little bit about whether government is overstepping or whether this is actually something that is really, really necessary to help protect the people.
Well, Phil, look at the numbers. I mean, I think the first week in March, there were 254 deaths in the United States. I think it was March 12th. Yesterday, there were over 80,000 deaths in the United States. So this is real. It's serious. You can't take this for granted. And therefore, I think the safeguards that, Governor Cuomo, who I personally think is doing a great job and showing strong leadership, I think they're doing the right things because they're basing this current situation on facts and on science. And they realize the tremendous impact it would have on our healthcare system. But if we don't slow this down, if we don't stop this, on the back end, it's going to be even worse for us, as you're starting to see in other cities in this country and other countries that now are getting a second round of the virus and increasing numbers in deaths. So this is serious business. It takes people's lives. I know people who are going to be impacted by their health for the rest of their lives, even though they've recovered. But the fact of the matter is, this is serious business and we have to have serious disciplined actions to help slow this down and hopefully wait for a vaccine that will help us deal with this going forward.
Now, Sal, you were a judge. You're a retired Supreme Court judge. Under color of law, there are certain things that you can and can't do as laid out by the governor and the state. As a legal mind, how far can we go in terms of a government to tell people what to do? I mean, there are certain situations that are in the public interest, and we all understand that. And this is an unusual case. I mean, we haven't gone through anything like this before. And the economy is taking a hit. Businesses, a lot of businesses, and I'm sure many, many restaurants that are on very slim margins to begin with, and they've been closed down for so long, they may not come back. A lot of businesses are in jeopardy. So as a legal point of view, constitutionally and morally, how much can the government tell us to do, Sal, in our own interest?
Well, Phil, that's the great debate that's going on right now. You see protesters saying, hey, it's our right to get out there and to work. And then you see other people saying, wait a minute, I have a right to live, and you're endangering my right to live. And so there's this tension between people that's going on now. I'm afraid that if things deteriorate and if we're not able to put things back in a perspective and get to a compromise, and life is always full of compromises, and it means that maybe we have to bite the bullet, for instance, and keep people out of work a little longer, become more creative about having them work from home, which we're doing. I don't think that the workplace will ever be quite the same after this is over. A lot of companies are discovering that people can do the work from home. A lot of individuals are finding that they don't mind not having to go downtown or to a plant plant or wherever every day. There's going to be a lot of changes, but if we get back too early, and certainly there's got to be a day where we say we have to go back to work because the difficulty for the difficulty that's caused by an economy that is stalled for too long will actually butt heads with the coronavirus as to which is more damaging at some point. But right now, if we're not careful, you remember the old Fram oil commercial, you pay now or you pay later. And if you pay later, you pay more. I mean, that's the deal. We have got to, as the mayor said, we have got to understand that we better do this right once, and we better put it down. Andrew Cuomo has done a great job of explaining that to people. Luckily, in Western New York, we don't have the same density of people that they have in New York City, which makes the problem so much more difficult to deal with. And those people who have to ride in public transportation day after day, they're exposed to dangers that we don't have. But in Italy, if we use Italy as an example of all of this, they seem to have opened up in the north a little bit quicker than they should have. And in Lombardy, they're being hit very hard again now. You know, Dr. Fauci has already warned of, a rebound and people having another battle with this. But there's talk because people, for instance, want their sports teams to be playing. They want to see them. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how you're going to be able to say, well, this 20,000 can fit into that 80,000 seat stadium with social distancing. Well, you still have to go in through little funnels, you know, where they get you in, and then people have to come out and they have to line up to come out. I don't know how you're going to enforce, 6 feet of social distancing. I think people are working night and day for the vaccines that will give us a way out of this. But at best, that's got to be a year away before there can be mass injections of people to really protect us. In the meantime, we're in for it, and if we don't listen to the scientists and the medical people, I think we're going to regret it.
A large segment of people now who are getting antsy and want to get back to normal. And is there a room for debate here on what the proper way to handle this is? I mean, you said that it's serious. We all have to take it serious. In Italy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that over 70% of the fatalities have been people who are elderly. And I think that might be the case worldwide, is that the most vulnerable people are the people who are elderly or have some kind of an underlying condition. And so if we take the precautions to protect those who are most vulnerable and let the other people slowly get back into living their lives and taking the economy back, Tony, is there room for that debate?
Well, this is America, so you're always going to have the debate, and I think that's a good thing because it makes us better as a people. But with this pandemic, this virus, there's no game plan. There was no blueprint. And you have all these people dying, and all of a sudden you got to figure out, how do you stop that? How do you deal with that? And at the same time, the economy has been devastated, and a lot of good people are getting hurt, and it's just tragic. Personally, there is no one size fits all. I think personally, the governor has figured out a way that perhaps we start opening up the economy in stages in different parts of the state. Certain things go first and other things follow behind that as the numbers go down. I personally think that's a good strategy. The economy is going to gradually come back. More people are going to gradually get back to work. But I think the impact of this economically is going to be long term, and it's going to be tragic, and a lot of people are going to get hurt. And I just think, number one, if there is a game plan to gradually open up the economy in New York State, letting certain parts of the state geographically that have a much lower impact, let them start doing things sooner, have different kinds of industry and different kinds of jobs and professions and services open up gradually. I think that's the right thing to do. But, you know, you're going to have people who want to go to work and do what they want to do. And that's sometimes the American way. But one of the things that troubles me is that, you know, 2 weeks ago on a beautiful day, I went and walked around the park, and there were hundreds, maybe 1,000 people in the park. None of them had 90% of them didn't have a mask on. And they're congregating and talking. And yeah, they're young people. But the fact of the matter is they can spread that to people who are older, to their family and their loved ones. They may not be impacted. But listen, this is serious business. And if we have to wear a mask, then wear it. You know, if you have to do things that wear a pair of gloves. But I think all of us should be aware, cognizant, and involved in trying to delay this and reduce it and eliminate it together, because it's going to take teamwork to do it. It's a tough call. I think the science means a lot. The density of the population and your issues, health issues mean a lot. And I think, you know, I believe in listening to people a lot smarter than I am that understand the facts and know the science. And I think for me, that's going to be what dictates what I do.
Like we've been talking about, this is uncharted territory. We don't have a game plan to look back on to say this is how we handle it. And you were right, Tony. There is no
game.
Yep.
Phil, let me just add this though. My daughter is an occupational therapist in New York City. She works in a very large skilled nursing home, a nursing facility in Manhattan. Up until recently, 2, 3, 4 people a day were dying there. And the emotion, the intensity, the hard work, it's just overbearing. These people working in that environment, our healthcare providers, are really doing Herculean efforts to keep people alive and to help them be better and healthier. And I don't think people here in this part of the state understand the dramatic impact this has had on an area like New York City because of the density. We don't see that density. We visit there, but we don't understand it. But the fact of the matter is, this is real, and it spreads so quickly and so easily that we have to be really careful in how we phase ourselves back in to a normal existence in other parts of the state.
Yeah.
You know, Tony, one of the other things we have to consider, these great heroes, these people working in those nursing homes, as well as the police and fire and emergency responders and sanitation workers who are risking their lives. They're risking their lives to allow us to get through this, and they're getting tired. They're working harder and longer hours and under greater tension than ever before. And what is happening when they see the public at large, a great portion of that public, saying, gee, I feel okay. I think I can go out. I think I can violate the rules. These people are risking their lives to help us get through this pandemic. We have got to be smart and disciplined as a country and as individuals.
Our elected officials, though, I think, are laying out a logical game plan, Phil. And listen, construction, that's starting to open up. That's going to be one of the first things. People working outside, working from safe distance from one another. In manufacturing, they're going to set up a system where you can manufacture products again, having social distancing, et cetera. There are certain industries that are going to start opening up sooner than later that will be able to start generating an economic impact. And then there'll be others according to, you know, what's safe and what isn't safe that will follow over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. You know, unfortunately, I mean, you know, I eat out 3 times a week. You know, I love going out to restaurants and socializing with people and enjoying a great meal because we have so many great restaurants here with good people that you see. It's a social thing besides an eating thing. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, those kinds of restaurants and other kinds of social events that have large crowds in close proximity, it's going to take a while for those to get back into the mainstream again.
Well, you know, the thing that we can hope for the most is that the economic damage, the long-term cultural damage, or the way things change in our society isn't overly affected to the point where we have a negative impact on the way we live as Americans, as Western New Yorkers. That's the most we can hope for. I agree with you that this is real. We have to take it seriously, and we have to protect the vulnerable. And you know, there's got to be a balance in there. But for now, we're doing what we have to do. And I agree with you. You know, we're going to have to wrap it up now. This segment of the big picture has been an interesting discussion. And I want to thank the Honorable Sal Martoche, retired Supreme Court Justice, and also the Honorable Anthony Masiello, the former mayor of Buffalo, for being my guest on this segment of the big picture. Always interesting, guys. Always interesting. We've got to do this again. It's an absolute
and all
fascinating
three of
discussion.
us are Canisius College graduates.
Absolutely.
That's right. Go Griffs.
Go Griffs. And
That's a Griff. It's a Griffin, right?
Well, you know, it's you know, there's something to be said there. And guys, I want to once again thank you for being my guest on The Big Picture. We'll be back right after this.